not set in stone because A, I have nothing.
So it's set in stone.
Segment starting.
Alright,
Go.
how y'all doing today? My name is Chris Class. I'm about to give y'all a brief informative speech. Gun laws, like any other things, are just pieces of information written on a piece of paper in which people decide either they abide by or they don't. It's just that simple. We all know that. Gun laws in the United States manage the sale, the possession, who can and who can't, and all sorts of information in the U.S. There are countries out there that have gun laws that even dictate that police can't have guns, which to me is a crazy situation because look at the number of countries nowadays that have riots that go out of control, all sorts of crazy situations that cause uprisings and chaos. So I don't see why they have rules that dictate to that extreme what people can do to protect themselves. The first federal legislation related to firearms was in the United States was in 1791. That's when they actually began to identify guns with crimes and guns with killings and guns with everything else, but they don't realize that guns also help protect this country just as much as it does cause issues. Look at every war that we've ever been in, we had to use guns. When the last time you ever heard somebody knifing somebody in a war? Yeah, that's a long time ago. Now it's all guns. We're shooting people from long range. Senator Ted Cruz, he's a Republican politician. He pointed out the fact that in the two states with the highest or strictest gun laws, Chicago and Washington, they have the highest crime rates, which is obvious. You know what I'm saying? You can stop the good people and mitigate how they get the weapons, but criminals, they're going to get them any way they can. And if you don't have guns, they're going to resort to something else. So you got to take that into consideration when you're making rules and regulations that govern these types of things. The Gun Control Act of 1968 prohibited the sale of firearms to anyone less than 18 years of age. But once again, we're at the dilemma. How many criminals you know that really abide by the rules? If that's the case, then we need to find a way to fix people from stealing cars. People steal cars all the time. People, high-speed chases, kill innocent people all the time, but you don't see nobody having uprisings about that, do you? There's nobody going up there to the Senate or to the White House saying, hey, we need to ban cars. We need to make sure that cars are harder to steal and nobody can just use cars to just randomly run over some child that's crossing the street. Nobody does that. But all of a sudden guns are the enemy of the state. Regulations vary by state. The rules associated with gun laws. What it is the federal state have their rules, and then the state have their rules. And the federal doesn't try to push down on the state how to mitigate or control their gun laws. They want to give them leeway, because like Texas, you can probably carry your gun in the open and wouldn't nobody say anything to you. But when you go to California, you know, you're going to jail. With no questions asked, you're going to jail. So they let states regulate who can get and what criteria you have to meet in order to freaking obtain some level of guns. Now, I agree that we should, as people, mitigate who can get guns legally. That should make it difficult, so that way it eliminates having to deal with just any random psycho getting a freaking weapon. But we all know that doggone Easy's wife could divorce him, and all of a sudden he went from a normal, everyday, average man to I want to bust a cap and the rest of the world in a moment's notice. It's just as simple. You can't predict the mind of an individual. You can probably diagnose it, but he would have to be in that state prior to him, getting the weapon. But most of us are just normal, average day people. You never know what tips us off. There are different categories of concealed carries. They're restricted, then you have unrestricted. Restricted simply means what it is. They take rules and regulations and force you to have to abide by, i.e. security clearances. You have to do a background check, or you have to wait so many days before you can get your freaking weapon. And then unrestricted is you pay for it, you get it that same day. And it varies between states. Some states, like I said, you can just freaking walk into a Walmart, buy you a rifle, and doggone, but you have to wait 24 hours to 48 hours to buy a handgun. And when I mean rifles, I mean not automatic rifles, but they're still long-range rifles, 22s, shotguns, things of that nature. Things like 45s, things that are easily hideable. They want you to wait a certain period of time so they can conduct background checks. It takes a lot of work to mitigate these laws and regulations, but we as people, as a society, can have a say-so in how it's being done. So if we get together, send up some information to our politicians, maybe they'll listen to us. Yes, make them stricter, but don't punish the good guys for the bad guys. If that was the case, then doggone should nobody be driving. In closing, today we've clearly got some sort of understanding of why gun laws are put in place and the reason for them. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.